So we are discussing about the types of research, and in the last class we had already discussed about the what is research, and we had also seen that what are the basic elements of the research, and then we discussed that what is the purpose of the research. Today we are going to discuss the types of research. These are the types of research methodology through which a research scholar can pursue his research. So let us discuss one by one. We will discuss the textual research, conceptual research, area study research, qualitative method, quantitative method, critical edition of a manuscript of a text, long-term project research, big project, class studies, comparative method, survey method, library method, and sampling methods. So these are the methods through which a research scholar can pursue his or her research in the field of Buddhist study in all subjects of the discipline Buddhist studies. So let us discuss one by one. Say we'll discuss, and we had already discussed that research methodology is a technique or a tool through which a research scholar can use his research materials for his research proposal or research topic. So these are some of the topics which we are going to discuss. The first, generally, a research scholar in the field of Pali and other subjects of Buddhist studies, they are doing analytical study of any concept or any text. What is the analytical method of the research? This involves interpretations of the information, examinations of the problem in detail based upon the available literature. The available literature in the field of Pali literature, Tibetan literature, Sanskrit Buddhist literature, Japanese or Chinese literatures. So these are the literatures. So based upon these literatures, we are interpreting, analyzing any concept or any thought which have been discussed by acharyas, commentators, sub-commentators. So this method is called as analytical method. We will discuss one by one. It is also called as a qualitative method of research. What is qualitative method of research? We will discuss in a very detailed manner. So there is a comparative research. We had already discussed that comparative research is also being done in the field of Pali and Buddhist studies, especially in the subjects literature. So there must be two traditions through which the any thought, any ideas, any concept can be compared, whether it is Theravada traditions or Mahayana traditions or Vajrayana traditions. So there must be traditions. If a research scholar is interested to do research on any topic, like Theravada text, and he wishes to make a comparative study with other texts also, like Dignikaya, available in the Pali literature, how Dirgha Agam, which is available in our Chinese literature, how the suttas are differing from the Pali suttas. There can be a comparative study of the text also. There must be any concept or ideas like law of dependent originations or concept of Nibbana, which can be also compared in two traditions, Sarvastibad or Yogachar. They can be compared. So there must be two traditions in which a research scholar can make a comparative study of that. We had also discussed that there are two types of research, namely pure research and applied research. Pure research is generally based upon the literatures which are available in our all the disciplines of the Buddhist studies. And when the principles or the theories are applied in our day-to-day life, when this type of research, how these principles or the theories are uh, beneficial for the bringing peace and harmony or universal brotherhood in the society. This can be taken as a applied research. So it has become one of the uh, recent researches in our Buddhist studies. People are taking since Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Jain master of Taiwan, and when he thought that how the teachings of the Buddha can be applied in our day-to-day life in other science subject also, like in physics, chemistry, mathematics. The theories are applied in our day-to-day life. In industrial applications also, that how the chemistry theories are applied in our day-to-day life, how the mechanical theories are applied in our day-to-day life, making life very smooth and easy. So this type of research is called as applied research. Now we are coming to the textual research, which we are discussing. That was the first. Textual research is a very deep and profound study of any research scholar. So there are so many aspects of the textual research. A text must have not been deciphered, or they have it has not come into the light, like the manuscripts which are available in Tibetan or Chinese or in other languages also, but they have not come into light. There are so many texts which are also available in Nevari script. They are likely to be come into the light. So whenever the textual text is being done, so there are so many aspects. First of all, date and authorship of the text can be studied. Then the linguistics peculiarities of the text. What are the language and style of the text, which has been be taken by the text, and whenever a person who wishes to do research on the date and authorship, he can take references from the colophon of the text, which is in the last Nigman Katha, or in the beginning of the text, whenever an author gives salutations of verses. So he also the author also writes about himself. So we can take that what was the date and authorship of the uh, text. So this is also a very interesting text. And the language and the style, what type of language and the style of the writing of the text, it can be also taken. How the verbs and the words have been taken together, what was the linguistic peculiarity, how the morphological assimilation, dissimulations, metathesis, hapology, these types of linguistics peculiarities can be also taken by a research scholar. We have seen that there are so many versions of the Dhammapad also. Dhammapad, there are Chinese, Tibetans also, and Pali also. Sanskrit versions of the text are also available. In the Tibetan, Udan Varg is also available. So how the language and the style of the text, they are differing from one to another, it can be also undertaken. Then the sociological, political, geographical study of the society at that time when this text was written down, then a person can also take a study of those subjects which are available. Philosophical aspects like concept of Four Noble Truth, law of dependent originations, eightfold path, how the karma and rebirth, and a state of eternal bliss, Nibbana, have been discussed or interpreted in the text. These can be also undertaken by the text. It is a very exhaustive and time-taking research. So textual research, there are so many things A person does not take all the aspects, only some of the aspects like date and author of the text can be taken, or any aspects related with the philosophical, or a person who is interested in the linguistic aspect, he can undertake a study of that text also. What about the cultural implications of the society at that time? On the basis of the text, a person can undertake a research. So this is called as a textual research. Textual research is very deep and understanding. A person must have the background of the language concerned in which the text is written, as well as he must have a complete idea of the linguistics theories and how these morphological or sociological, sociolinguistics aspects, he must have ideas of those. So, a research scholars can undertake this type of research also. Then there is a conceptual research. A person who is interested like concept of law of dependent origination or concept of Nibbana in Theravada Buddhism or in Sarvastivada Abhidharma traditions, or a person who is interested in the concept of Shunya in the Madhyamik Prasangik thought. So he can undertake any aspects related with the concept, related with whether it is Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Path, Law of Dependent Originations, Karma and Rebirth. These can be undertaken by the researcher. Then there is another type of research which is called as empirical research. Empirical research is a quantitative type of research. We will discuss that when the research is based upon the numerical numbers, or the which is based upon the database research on the basis of any sociological or anthropological study which is being undertaken by a research scholar, then this is called as empirical research. So the conclusion can be drawn on the basis of the numerical data which is undertaken. It is especially in the field of sociological and anthropological, and in the field of aesthetical data which is being undertaken. It is another type of quantitative type of research. We will discuss later on in a very separate manner. There is another research which is called as a descriptive. When a research scholar describes any concept or the idea in a very general form, and whenever he makes a generalizations of the concepts or the ideas, this is called as descriptive. So any state of affairs as it exists at present. So a research scholar tries to draw the conclusion on the basis of the uh, research problems which had been undertaken by previous scholars or the acharyas. Now there is a which is a most relevant in our subject related with Buddhist studies, especially in the field of language and literature. So there is a historical type of research. This is very important for the research scholar, which is especially devoted in the discipline of Buddhist study. So historical research is that whenever the data which are collected or gathered on the basis of archives, archaeological excavations, or the suttas which are available in the chronological manner. So here, if you see that historical research is that which utilizes historical sources like documents, remains, etc., to study events or ideas of the past, including the philosophy of the persons and groups at any remote point of time. You might have gone through the history of Buddhist philosophy by Professor D.J. Kalpana. So this DJ Kalupana has also drawn the concepts of all Buddhist philosophy on the basis of the history. So here, how the ideas which are based upon the historical sources like documents which are available in the form of archives or the materials which are available in the libraries in the forms of the palm leaves or Bhojpatra leaves, the documents which are available. So in that way, it is called as a historical research. Further, in the field of religion, how we can discuss these things. Trevor Ling, who is the great scholar of Europe, he has also written research methodology in the field of Buddhist study. And then he has discussed about two methods of the Buddhist studies, especially in the subject related with the Buddhist studies, that how research methodology can be taken. There are two methods which have been given by traveling, that is a literalist method, and second is the our this historical method. So these are the two approaches of methodology which are taken. Literalist method is only which is based upon the literature which are available to us. But whenever we are taking historical method in on the basis of the literature which are available to us, we can also see that how the suttas which are available to us. If you go through the Pali suttas available in the Sutta Pitaka, Dik Nikaya, Majjhim Nikaya, Sanjukta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, and Khudak Nikaya, we will see that how the text is start. Eo me suttam ekam samayam bhagava savathyam viharati jetvane anath pindakassa vihare. So here is once upon a time, the Blessed One was dwelling at the Vihar monastery of the Jetvan in of the Sravasti. And here, how in the first Buddhist council or in the second Buddhist council or third Buddhist council, the acharyas or the arhatas who took participated in these councils, they are remembering that Eho me sutam, Eho maya surtam in our Mahayana sutras also, especially in Lankavatar or Southern Pundrik Sutra, in the Sanskrit Bepul Sutras, we are also having that how the sutras starts Eom Maya Srutam, that thus it was heard by me, that someone has heard, and there are some teachers who are preaching the teachings to someone, and there are some persons or listeners who are also listening the teachings of the Buddha, and in that way it is called as a historical, that the teachings have not been given into the empty space or into the sound. So there must be a teacher, there must be hearer or listeners also, and there was a time when someone has preached to someone, and thus in this way the documents have been kept to us. First of all, it was in the oral traditions, that is the Mukha Path Vasena. Later on, it was committed into writing. In Pali literatures, we are having that how in the first century AD, at the time of King Bhatta Gamani of Bhai, all the or suttas which were available in the oral traditions, they were committed into writing on the marble stone in Alo Bihar. In the same way, other Sanskrit texts were also committed to write in writing by the acharyas also. So, what is the literist method? It is to treat the religious text as extending beyond space and time. Whenever the any materials which are available beyond the space and time. We are not having any documents related that when it was spoken. Then this is called as literacy. And regarding the historical critical approach, the teachings of the Buddha is related to historical situation in which it is possible to reconstruct and understand that situation. So we see that how Buddha was dwelling in Varanasi, Sravasti, Rajgir, Pavapuri, Nalanda, and how he was preaching to the listeners also. So in that way, we are the documents which are available. This is called as historical method. Whenever we are analyzing or critical study of the suttas, it is called as historical. Here, attention is paid not only to substance and meaning of the words spoken, but also to the fact that they were spoken to the certain hearers in a given concrete situation. So there might have been some of the questions which were raised by some of the bhikkhus at that time, and in answer to that, the Buddha has preached the Sutta. So that was the situations and how the words have been interpreted, how the words have been undertaken, and the teachings in what circumstances, what was the situation. This type of, whenever there are study, this is called as historical method. So, in order to know what weight is to be given to a particular saying, it is necessary to remember that words were not uttered into empty air, but to a specific audience. So we see in the Pali text also, in other Bapuli Sutras and other texts also, there are some listeners, there are some bhikkhus who are listening the teachings of the Buddha, and whenever, based upon those materials, the research is being undertaken, this is called as historical method. Again, there is another method which is called as scientific research. We are aware that scientific science is the advancement of the any knowledge, or it can be defined as a systematic knowledge of anything is called as science. So whenever a systematic study of anything or systematic investigation of any teachings of the Buddha can be taken, this is called as scientific research. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Buddha also says that do not accept the things, whatever it comes to you by for the sake of heresy or by it, whether it has been said by any teacher or whether it has been said by some acharyas. So you do not accept it. You just investigate it that whether it has been said in the Suttas or Vinaya or Abhidhamma. If you find it, then you can accept it. And Buddha was also a scientific teacher. He is also called as a great physician also, in the sense that he gave the teachings of the Buddha on the reason and the logic also. And in that way, in some of the suttas, we are having that how Buddha gives emphasis on the reason and the logic also. So all the teachings of the Buddha which are related with the scientific investigations later on, we also find that some of the acharyas like Nagarjuna, he also composed Jukti Sasti Karika. There are 60 verses which have been given on the basis of regions also. In Kathavattu is a text of the logic and reasoning as well as epistemology also. So whenever the teachings of the Buddha are interpreted on the basis of reasoning, logic, and epistemology, then it is called as a scientific research. So this is the systematic study or investigation of the teachings of the Buddha with mainly emphasis of the reasoning, logic, and epistemology. So this ideal of science is to achieve a systematic interrelations of the fact. We are aware that how things are causally related with each other. There is no self-independent entity. Everything comes into existence dependent on some cause and conditions, hetu and the pacha. And all these are that how the things are happening in our day-to-day life, how the things are causally related with each other. This type of study, that how the things are causally related, how the man, nature, and the environment, how the two things are causally related. This type of investigations, this is called as a scientific research. There are so many texts which have been done related with the teachings of the Buddha, like Buddhist metaphysics by Noah Ronkin, who has written that how the teachings of the Buddha or the concepts or the theories of the Buddha are related with the scientific study of our teachings of the Buddha. So here, mm, mm, the main infected is scientific method attempts to achieve his ideal by experimentation, observation, logical arguments from accepted postulates, and a combination of these three in varying proportions. So there are three things which are related with our scientific research. That is the experiment, second is observations, and third is logical arguments. Then this type of research is called as scientific research. Again, this scientific method, logical aids in formulating propositions explicitly and accurately so that their possible alternatives become clear. In Kathavattu, you will see that there are 1,000 arguments. There are 500 arguments in favor of Theravada Buddhism, and 500 arguments are related with heretics, Vitandavadins, and how the arguments of the Vitandavadins, they are removed with the logical emphasis of the teachings of the Buddha, whether it is the concept of no soul or law of dependent originations, how the law of dependent originations is moment by moment, how it has been interpreted in our text, how the Mahasangikas and other sects are discussing about the law of dependent originations, and how the Vivajavadins, they are interpreting in their own way with the help of logic and reasoning. So these are the making it clear that what the teachings of the Buddha have been really said by the our blessed one. Again, we are coming to the next aspect of the research, that is called as qualitative method of research. It is very popular in our Buddhist studies. Generally, it is also called as analytical method of research or qualitative method of research. Whenever any things which are analyzed and they are interpreted on the basis of the literature available to us, this is called as qualitative method. It is not dependent on any numerical uh, conclusion, or it is not based upon any quantitative method. So this method is of collecting the materials, analyzing and interpreting data that is not easily reduced to numbers. It cannot be given. In Anguttara Nikaya, we see that how the teachings of the Buddha have been given on the basis of numbers. एक निपात, दुक निपात, तिक निपात, चतुक निपात, पंचक निपात, छह निपात, till एकादश निपात, 11 ways. So there are 11 ways of teachings of the Buddha which have been numerically given here. But here in the qualitative method, there is no any numerical outcome. It is based only on the basis of collecting the research materials, analyzing the things, and interpreting in different manners. We have already seen that analyzing is in the sense of how the teachings of the Buddha can be analyzed in with the help of different manners also. We have seen in the text of Vibhanga how the four ultimate realities, Chatudha, Paramat, Dhamma, namely Chit, Chetasik, Rupa, and Nibbana, how they have been interpreted on the basis of Panchakandhaj, Dwadas Ayatan, Atharas Dhatu, Patisamuchpad, Chattariyari Sachani, Apamanya, Patisambhidha. So how there are 18 ways of analyzing the teachings of the Buddha in a different manner. There is a text, Netti Pakarana, by Mahakachan, which they discusses about the 16 Haraj. 16 Haraj means there are 16 methods through which teachings of the Buddha can be interpreted or analyzed. There are Desanahar, which is more popular in the Nitya Pakarana, that how the teachings of the Buddha can be understood by the way of the Haraj. So, by these, the teachers have also interpreted that how the teachings of the Buddha can be interpreted for the sake of understanding in a clear manner. So here qualitative method is collecting the research materials, analyzing and interpreting in a different manner the new ideas, how the thoughts are interpreted in a different manner. This is called as qualitative method. So qualitative data takes the case studies and notes rather than numerical characterized by quantitative research. We'll discuss about just in the next slide that what is the quantitative method. Quantitative method is mainly based upon the numerical data, which gives the conclusion on the basis of the numbers 1, 2, 3, especially in the field of science, aesthetics, or mathematics, or whenever any medical observations like the blood test and other things which are mainly based upon the numerical data. Here, main objective is one of the main criticism of this research method. So here it is that how you are giving in a prose form any ideas, how you are interpreting in a different manner. Criticism has meant that qualitative research has not gained the same acceptance as the quantitative studies. There are some scholars who are saying that quantitative research, which is based upon the numerical data, they are most worthy enough than the conclusion drawn by the qualitative method. So these are the criticism by the scholars also. But in the field of Buddhist studies or in the discipline of Buddhist studies, only the qualitative method of research is applicable. Generally, persons who are interested in the case of sociological or anthropological studies related with Buddhism, any aspect of Buddhism, then quantitative method can be undertaken. So these are the things related with the qualitative method. Again, quantitative method, this is another type of research. It is mainly based upon the numbers. So quantitative research, also known as empirical research, there is another name. It is the use of the number for data analysis. Whenever there is an analysis on the basis of numbers, then it is called as quantitative methods. So discipline in which various types of quantitative research areas used include science, epidemiology, and medicines. Researchers can collect the numbers manually or automatically, depending the kinds of research and the required level of preciseness and accuracy. So here, in the epidemic or in the case of medicines or the um, uh, medical results, they are mainly dependent whether it is a blood test or any urine test. If you see, these are mainly based upon the quantitative research, and they claim that this is the more accuracy or more preciseness which through which quantitative method can any research scholar can adopt it. So here there are some of the samples or the manual data which are collected, like blood samples and other things which are undertaken, or in the case of sociological or anthropological, some of the numbers of the families in a village can be undertaken for this quantitative type of research. So manual data collection is typically reliable for small data sets where the margin of error is minimal. Automated data collections where the human error factor is removed is generally regarded the most accurate type of quantitative research. Then there are another type of research which is also available in our discipline, Buddhist studies. This is called as observation method. So here, what is observation? So how the things can be observed. So it is defined as a planned methodological
来，这个那个辣椒吗？
watching.
啊，
Yes, sir. Observation is defined as a planned methodological watching that involves checkpoints to improve accuracy. Observation is a method that employs vision and means of collecting data. It also implies that the use of eyes rather than the ears and the voice. It is an accurate watching and noting of phenomena as they occur with regard to the cause and effect or mutual relations. We have seen in the case of our rivals that how the things are causally related when the things which are happening in our day-to-day life, and whenever we are observing through only our eyes, this is also called as a scientific method of researching. So it is not only by hearing or by other things or any voice, but you have to visualize the things, the things are happening day to day life, and then how you are watching the things, observing the things, and how the things are taking place, which is undertaken by our eyes. And on the basis of that, if you are interpreting that how the things are happening in our day-to-day life, this is called as observation method. There is another method which is called as questionnaire method. Whenever in the case of psychological study or sociological study or anthropological study, the questionnaires are being set up by the researcher scholar, and they are prepared, and some of the families of the village are selected, and on the basis of those questions and how the answers have been given, whenever the conclusion is being drawn, this is called as questionnaire method. So questionnaires is a very noted as most accepted by the scholars. They are saying that it is only in the case of 15 or 20 families of a village, but it cannot be applicable to other families of the other village also. The differing with that also. So questionnaire is described as a document that contains a set of questions befitting to the themes of observation, the answers to which is to be provided personally by the respondents. Questionnaire is prepared with consideration of research topic in a way to find out fact and figure of so cultural, economic for informations of the area as acquainted by the respondents. So there are mainly three aspects: sociological, cultural, and economical. And in some of the cases, that how the psychological study of the people are taken, that how the stress can be minimized, how the conflicts of the society, how the behavior or the people can be undertaken in a better way. This type of research can be also taken on the basis of questionnaire method of research. There was a time when all teachings of the Buddha were available in oral traditions, Mukha Pata Vasena, and still in some of the western Himalayas or eastern in some of the part of the eastern Himalayas, that our still teachings of the Buddha are available in oral traditions. They are not documented, they are not available in our Nepal, in some of the monasteries or in some of the areas also. The teachings of the Buddha are in oral traditions, and they are not in the form, written form, or they are not in any documented form. So when the research is undertaken by the method of interviewing of those acharyas who are living and those who are having the teachings of the Buddha by the way of oral traditions, by interviewing those persons, if the research is being undertaken, this is called as interview method. So in the case of our Buddhist studies in some of the Western Himalayas or some of the parts of Eastern Himalayas, still there are some of the oral traditions where the teachings of the Buddha are still available. So one can undertake the research and for that interview method is undertaken. So interview is the verbal questioning as a research tool or as or a method of data collections. Interview is different from general communications with regard to its preparations, constructions, and execution. So whenever the questions are being prepared, it must be prepared with a very proper understanding. There not be any questions which is not related with, and that cannot be pinching to any persons or the society of the persons also. If you are asking any questions which are not like by the temperaments of those persons, then the outcome will not come. So the sentiments of those persons who are having oral traditions or those to whom a researcher is going to ask the questions, that questions cannot hurt the sentiments and emotions of those persons. So questions can be prepared with a very understanding that these questions are not going to harm sentiments and the emotions of any persons. The difference is that a research interview is prepared and executed in a systematic way. It is related with a specific research question and a research purpose also. In general case, we have seen that a research topic must have research problem also, and research problem must have a solution also, which is called as hypothesis, and there be must be a method also, which is called as research methodology. So here the questions which you are going to ask, the questions must be research questions, and the research questions must have the solutions also, which you are going to ask to those persons. So this is the specific purpose of the questionnaire method through which a research scholar can gather some of the informations. There is another case study or field experience method where a person, suppose, who is going to take a study of a status of Buddhism in some of the parts of Maharashtra, or when a person who is going to study the status of new Buddhist in Maharashtra or Assam or other areas also. So this is called as case study or field experience. A research scholar has to go to read the sociological or cultural aspects of the person concerns where the people are available. So this is called as case study. It is generally available in the case of sociological or anthropological aspects of Buddhist studies. So here, case study method is an intensive study and a particularly participatory observation of a case which may be an individual or institutional or a system or an organization's an event or even the entire culture. Case is not a method of data collections. Rather, it is a research strategy or an empirical inquiry. Empirical means that it is based upon the quantitative method that investigates a contemporary phenomena by using multiple sources of evidence that finally projects the representations. So this is called as our case study or field here. Here research scholar has to go to a particular place and make a systematic study on the basis of the data available on the quantitative method or numerical method, and then he can interpret it. And there must be some research problems also, which is going to make a case study of that. Then experimental, experiential expositions. So there is another type of research. Here it is to be part of performance, rituals, festivities, not only as participant observer, but deeply involved with functionaries and to have exposure of the deep experiences through the narratives and the illustrations. In some of the parts of the Himachal Pradesh of India, or in some of the parts of Ladakh or Leh, still some of the dances, masked dances, or other dances. In Nepal also, in some area, and there are some of the mountain area of Nepal also. There are some of the still there are dances. There are some of the rituals which are is still prevalent, and a study of those festivals, rituals, or any aspects related with those mountain areas study. This is called as experience. So here a research scholar is not going as a research scholar, but he has to behave as a participant. So he has to get involved with all the events which are taking place there and how the things are taking place. In that way, he can experience the things and he can write down those experiences in the research. That is also called as a research, which is called as experiential expositions of the ideas. There are so many narrative in the there are so many stories which develop on the teachings of the Buddha in some of the remote areas of our Nepal, or even some of the parts of Himachal Pradesh or Leh Ladakh, where still the teachings are not available in documented form. So here the persons who is going there, it is also the study of that is called as experiential expositions. So let us stop here. In the next class, we will discuss about the steps for the. So these are some of the types of the researches which we have discussed. So if you have any questions related with today's class, you can ask. So the time, I think it has come. So these today we have discussed about the what are the types of the research which are undertaken by a research scholar in the discipline Buddhist studies. Generally, these are the methods through which a research scholar can undertake his research. Any question, if you have, you can ask.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
No questions
So,
anymore.
any questions? Do you have Liu Chan Hui? So again, tomorrow we are going to meet at 8:30. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any question if you have? Otherwise, tomorrow we will meet at 8:30, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Okay. Okay. Take care.